In Symfony, validation is done a little bit differently. Instead of validating the submitted form data itself, validation is applied to the user object. Start by heading to the Validation chapter of the documentation. Click on the Annotations tab of the code example and copy the use statement. Paste this into your user class. Whenever you add annotations, you need a use statement. Adding a validation constraint is easy. To make the username field required, add @assert/notBlank above the property. Try it out. When we submit the form blank, we see the validation error above the field. It looks terrible, but we'll work on that later. To customize the message, add the message option. Refresh to see the new error. All of this magic happens automatically when we call handleRequest in our controller. This takes the submitted values, pushes them into the user object, and then applies validation. Let's keep going. We can use the length constraint to make sure the username is at least 3 characters long. For the email property, use notBlank and email to guarantee that it's a valid email address. For plain password, we can use the notBlank constraint and the regex constraint to guarantee a strong password. Let's try this out by filling out the form in different ways. All the errors show up. They're just really ugly. Symfony comes packed with a lot of other constraints you can use. Check them out in the reference section of the documentation. You can see the length constraint we just used and all the options for it. Cool! Check out the unique entity constraint. This is useful if you need to make sure a value stays unique in the database. We need to make sure that nobody signs up using an existing username or email address, so this is perfect. The unique entity constraint is special because, unlike the others, this one requires a different use statement. Copy it into your user class. Also, @uniqueEntity goes above the class, not above a property. It takes 2 options, the field that should be unique followed by a message. Add a constraint for both the username and the email. If we try to register with an existing username or email, we see the error. Before we move on, I want to show you one more useful constraint. Callback. This constraint is awesome because it lets you create a method inside your class that's called during validation. You can apply whatever logic you need to figure out if the object is valid. You can even place the errors on exactly which field you want. If you have a more difficult validation problem, this might be exactly what you need. We won't show you it here, but check it out.